Hey guys, so yesterday I did a Facebook Live with you all and it went really well. I had a few technical issues, bear with me, this new kind of thing that I'm doing here. But what I wanted to do, unfortunately, Facebook Live don't really stream very well afterwards. So I thought, well, I'm going to upload the content in a shorter version, in a more compact version on YouTube. So this is yesterday's. Now, I had a few questions coming in from subscribers from the Facebook channel. And here is the first question. So it was basically around gaming. Her son is struggling and getting quite obsessed with it, and just that's all he wants to do during this lockdown. He just wants to game, and she's finding it hard to get him to engage with other things. So we chatted a little bit about why do kids game in the first place, and looking at the research, or some research, we can see that games are constantly shifting focus and there is instant gratification and reward. So kids with autism, and especially with ADHD, they love games because it's all fast moving and it's all fast paced. It makes sense to them, you know, because it's more compelling, and they love the fast movement of the games. And a lot of people have problems with gaming because you'll hear comments like this: it's not healthy socially for them to spend time on their own, not with other people. You know, they should be hanging out with other kids. It's not healthy. Now, the thing is, when you're looking at autism and ADHD together, it is healthy for them to game. And here's kind of why and what I think. So I don't think, I think being obsessed, you know, when kids get angry or it's really affecting them mentally, that's a different scenario here. You know, we would look at that differently. Again, it'd be difficult to just remove gaming from kids. And that's what a lot of advice is given. Oh, stop the gaming or limit the gaming. It's not going to work, is it? Let's be real. These kids need these games. So one really good example I used yesterday was looking at this. You know, is it okay for a kid to live, eat, sleep, dream about football? Is it okay for them to play all day in the garden and to obsess, even though they're sitting at the dinner table and they're kind of just eating their food and all they're thinking about is going on YouTube and looking at new ways of playing football or looking at new skills? Would we have such an issue with that kid? No, we wouldn't, would we? You know, we'd be like, oh my God, you know, the potential, he could be a footballer, and oh, it's so cool. And a lot of dads, when I do use this example in talks and stuff, they're like, oh yeah, it'd be awesome, my son playing games, obsessing over football. Is there a real difference when you compare that to gaming? I don't think so. I just think a lot of people, me included, you know, it's a new world. Our children are growing up into a new world, and gaming and internet, it's all that's going to be around. So, you know, I think we need to be getting on board a little bit more. Children with autism, they need time away from people. Here's the thing, and this is only my experience on it. You know, if you force a kid, not force, but, you know, if you make them become social and you are having a go at them because they won't sit with you or they won't come and spend time with you in the living room, they may end up resenting you. A lot of children with autism, they will socialize when they're ready, when they want to. I think a lot of people find it difficult with autism because you have an agenda. People have an agenda, or they think they should be a certain way, and they're not, guys. And honestly, trust me, you know, let them be social when they're ready and be okay with that. And an example I used yesterday was my own son, Cameron. You know, he's always found socializing difficult. And even now as an adult, when we socialize, whether it's at home or in family, you know, he just can't. He wants to do it, but then he can't do it. And what happens is he has to have at least a day, 2 days on his own, sleeping. You know, he would go to college. One of the problems he had last year, he'd go to college and he'd be this social, amazing kid, and, you know, really put in the effort to be social and really push himself. And then he'd just crash, and then he'd have like a week off college, and, you know, they understood, but there's no support there for it, that kind of thing, and it's really difficult. So socializing, guys, and gaming, don't worry about it, you know. And here's why. Here's why I think gaming is okay for these kids. Because there actually are a lot of healthy, natural learning going on. And if we look more creatively into gaming. What is going on? Well, there's problem solving, socializing, learning to make mistakes, flexible thinking. You know, if a game isn't difficult, children get bored of it. You know, this kind of games like Overwatch and what is it, Fortnite and all the World of Warcraft. God, they're so complicated. And our children are having to think flexibly. They're having to socialize and work in teams. They're having to kind of own up, or, you know, accept that they're going to make mistakes and to be okay with it. Because if you don't make a mistake when you're gaming, you're not going to move to the next level and you're not going to improve. All this social skill stuff, guys, is going on naturally without the need of a social story, or without the need of a parent saying, come on, you need to come and hang out with us in the park and all this. You know, it's going on already while they're sitting at that screen. So don't worry too much about it, especially in this uncertain time we're in, because a lot of our kids are going through a big crisis themselves, trying to work out what the hell is going on with this coronavirus stuff. And that's something that I talked about as well. Until school is back, guys, just focus on your kids being happy, focus on them being content. Yes, try and get them to do some schoolwork if they're gonna, but if they don't worry about it. I mean, how much more interesting is a game than sitting there, I don't know, writing a sentence or a paragraph about an Egyptian pyramid? You know, very interesting, but for a lot of our kids, they need that in school, not at home. So don't worry too much. Just keep trying and doing the best you can. And then the last thing I talked about for this question was getting involved and having a go yourself. This is massive, you know, because I would do this a lot with my son Cameron. I was no good at gaming, and it would frustrate me, and I'd end up storming off because he was always better than me. But the thing is, it's so big for those kids. It's such an amazing achievement to see their parents sitting next to them, trying to get into their world, not asking them to change anything or asking them to be something else. Being in that moment with your child is so powerful. And it was really nice to hear that the mom I was answering his questions, she sent me a text after the Facebook Live and said, oh, here I am, I'm sitting with my son in his room trying to get into the game. And you know what? I bet you she had a great night with him. And even if it's only for half an hour, guys, that's so much more powerful. Cameron is, you know, when he was younger and he wasn't able to process emotions very well, I'd sit with him and I'd game and World of Warcraft, which blows my mind. I ain't got a clue how it works. I'd spend some time with him, then I'd go down and I don't know, do the dinner. And then he'd just come down on his own accord and sit with us on his own and be in the moment with us. And then he'd go back in his room again. Guys, that is powerful socializing for these kids. I didn't have to tell him to do it or show him how to do it. Let them do it when they're ready. So that was the first question. And then this was a complicated one, but I wanted to discuss this because I think it's important. It's about medication. This mum's child is autistic and has ADHD, and she doesn't know whether not medicating him is helping him or if she's letting him down in some way. So we looked at the general view first of autism and medication, and highlighted that there is no cure for autism. We know that, but there's also no current medication that you can use to treat it. Some medicines can help with the comorbid conditions like anxiety and depression and seizures and insomnia, trouble focusing, all these kind of things can help. And also the studies show that it's more effective when combined with other therapies. So that was the first thing that we talked about, because I believe autism isn't anything that is broke and it doesn't need to be fixed. I just think that people with autism just have a different way of looking at the world and thinking about things, and that's all right. And, you know, trying to medicate that, I don't know. It's kind of like medicating something that isn't wrong in the first place. I don't know. You got to make your decision on that one. But we looked at the attention deficit side to everything, because it is tricky. This is the NICE guidelines. You can get this. It's a free update. You know, and it's a really heavy read. I only recommend reading the summary and the conclusion, because they're always the important things, aren't they? But this is what they've said. Despite a large treatment literature supporting the short-term benefits stimulant medication in children with ADHD, so it can help short-term, uncertainty still surrounds the quality of evidence and the balance of the risk and benefit long term. What basically all the doctors and professionals in the UK today, there is no definite answer. So it's like an art, isn't it? Medication. I've been on it in my life, and my son's been up and down on it, and he's on some at the moment, some new tablets, and they're not really helping him. It's an art. It can take years to find the right ones, or some people just realize, oh, it's not for me, and come off them, or some people need them. I know people that really benefit from antidepressants, for example. I've got some adult friends that would love them, and I think you just got to try them, and I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it, this one? But here's something that we did discuss. There is no magic pill, and people find some benefit from medication and some people don't. So my main advice really to this mom was just to go to your GP if your GP is any good and if they care. If they don't, just find another GP because they're out there. And just be honest and real with them because you don't know, do you, really, the answer? So it was a tricky one. But because I couldn't really give an answer, and again, I don't have all the answers. I'm just setting up this channel here just to help and share my experience as a teacher and as an autism specialist, and also as a parent with a kid with autism. So I find that medication is a tricky one, but I wanted to discuss the state of flow because it's really important. I find this can be more important sometimes than the medication itself, finding a state of flow. So what is flow? Flow is being in a moment, doing something, whether it's watching an amazing film or whether you're writing a song. I'm a songwriter and I can sit for hours playing a song and bird watching is another one for me. My wife has to call me sometimes if I see a really rare bird or something. I'll just be there for hours and hours and I lose track of time. That's what flow is, losing track of time. This is a little kind of documentary thing here, a documentary, you know what I mean, a slide. Sorry, I'm tired. Nothing else matters in flow. There's no problem, nothing exists that's an issue, and you lose yourself. Time gets distorted. And what I was trying to talk about yesterday was if we can find those states of flow for our children throughout the day, I tell you what, it's amazing how powerful it is. I was in a school a couple of weeks ago advising a SENCO, and this kid was having major issues in lessons he doesn't want to be in, but apart from one, history. And she said, oh my God, he'll talk for hours and hours and he just obsesses about history. And I said, well, okay, so he's storming out of the lessons and he's freaking out and he's really struggling. What's he like in history? Oh my God, he's totally fine. We don't have any issues at all. And that's the stuff that I really want us to focus on, And yes, I know if there are teachers watching this, they're like, yeah, but we have to do other things. I'm not here to say, do this, do that. It's more about these are the things that work, and it's down to you guys and me included to be a part of the change. I don't know how, I really don't, but I do know that kid just needs to be focusing on history as much as he can in that day, because clearly that's what helps him. So that's a state of flow situation. And if you want to look at flow a little bit further, this gentleman here, he said it's not enough to be happy to have an excellent life. The point is to be happy while doing things that stretch our skills to help us grow and fulfill our potential. Isn't that what we want for all our kids? Flow's brilliant. Here's his book. This guy who came up with the idea of flow, and flow psychology has come from this. Really well recommend this book. And that was it. That was our chat. We talked a little bit about boredom, embracing creativity and things. So I hope this covered these two questions. And what I'm going to do when I do another Facebook Live is I'll re-record it again, so on YouTube, so you can pass this on to people. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and find us on Facebook. We're on YouTube, and the YouTube channel is Accepting Behaviour Education Channel. Thank you. See you later.